and in today's video I will be attempting to make Claire Saffiz's coffee cake. So I kind of have a thing for coffee cakes. I think it was maybe May or early quarantine. I got obsessed with coffee cake because I watched this one video from Preppy Kitchen. But yeah, I basically didn't make them for I think a couple months after that. So this is my first time making a coffee cake in a long while. The thing that makes Claire's coffee cake a little bit different from the other ones is that she actually puts real coffee in it. And there's actually two kinds of coffee in this cake. We have the instant coffee granules and we have regular brewed coffee. So there's a bit of a controversy here because apparently American coffee cakes are meant to be paired with a cup of coffee, and British coffee cakes actually contain coffee in the cake. So it seems to be that people have mixed ideas of what a coffee cake should and shouldn't be, but I guess this cake kind of satisfies both realms of the coffee cake world because it contains real coffee and it also still has the crumble and the in-between brown sugar layer. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. I'm really excited to try this recipe and we'll see how it goes.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to make is the coffee urban. For this, you'll need some light brown sugar, instant coffee granules, and some ground cinnamon. Pretty self-explanatory. You're going to add your brown sugar into a bowl, add some cinnamon, a lot of it, then add some instant coffee granules, and using my mini spatula, I just mixed that all together until it was well combined. This will go in between the two cake layers. Next up, we're going to be making the brown sugar crumble. For this, you'll need some all-purpose flour, light brown sugar, instant coffee granules, ground cinnamon, salt, and unsalted butter. In a small bowl, I combine the flour, light brown sugar, instant coffee granules, and the ground cinnamon, and salt. Then using my tiny spatula again, I just mixed that all together until it was well combined. Then I added in my butter chunks, one piece at a time, calmly. Then much like any other flaky pastry, we're going to cut in the butter using our hands, just making sure there are no more dry spots left. Should look something like this, and we're just going to set that aside and use it for later. Our last step is making the coffee cake batter. For this, we'll need some all-purpose flour, baking powder, salt, baking soda, sour cream, brewed coffee, instant coffee granules, vanilla extract, unsalted butter, a neutral oil, some granulated sugar, and some light brown sugar, as well as some eggs. We're going to start off by combining our dry ingredients, so adding our flour, baking soda, baking powder, salt into a bowl, then using a whisk, just making sure that's all combined. Our next step is combining the wet ingredients. So to my bowl, I added in my sour cream, brewed coffee, instant coffee granules, as well as a little bit of vanilla extract. Once again, using my whisk and just making sure that there are no lumps left and that everything is smooth and homogeneous. Into a stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, I added in my room temperature butter, my neutral oil, and my sugars. Then I beat them together until they were light and fluffy and creamy for about 5 minutes. Then I scraped down the sides of my bowl, and then I added in my eggs one at a time. After the eggs were well incorporated, I alternated between adding in my flour, then my wet mixture, then my dry mixture, and finishing off with the flour mixture. Using a spatula, just making sure everything is well combined, and then adding in about half of my batter into a 9x13 cake pan, and using my spatula, just spreading that out until it's in a super even layer, making sure that all the corners of the pan are covered. After that was all even, then I topped it all off with my brown sugar ribbon mixture. There's not really any strategy for this, just making sure that most of the areas are covered. Then dumping on the last half of my cake batter, and once again using my spatula just to make sure that everything was even and spread out. Then finishing everything off with the brown sugar crumble. Again, just making sure that no empty spots remain. Then I let that bake at 350 for about 40 to 45 minutes. My cake ended up looking something like this, and then using a knife, I cut mine into 12 slices.
This cake looks absolutely delicious and I can't wait to dig in. We have a really nice brown sugar kind of center going on here. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but for me, the crumble is like the best part of the entire coffee cake. So I'm gonna dig in. This cake is so good. The actual cake layers themselves are super fluffy and light, which I'm assuming is from all the air that was beaten into the butter and the sugars. And I've tried a few recipes where the sugar actually ended up hardening around the edges of the coffee cake, and that didn't happen in this case. So I'm pleasantly surprised by that. The cake is not too sweet, it's just the perfect amount of sweetness to contrast with the bitterness of the coffee, although it does contain a lot of coffee, so this will probably satisfy all my caffeine requirements for today. I really like this cake. It wouldn't take too long to make. It's actually listed in the breakfast and brunch section of the book, and you actually get a lot of slices out of it. This one I cut was especially big, but if you're serving for more people, you can definitely just cut it into smaller slices. I really enjoyed this recipe and I hope you did too. I'll see you next time. Bye.